Welcome to councillors and staff and those joining online and in the public gallery. We begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders, past and present. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people here today. Please stand for the prayer. Almighty God, we humbly beseech your blessing on the council. Direct and prosper its deliberations for the welfare of the people of the Moyne Shire. Amen. Do we have any apologies today? No apologies. Are there any declarations of interest? No. Confirmation of minutes. I call for a mover to confirm the minutes of the ordinary council meeting on the 25th of June 2024. Is a mover, Councillor Foster. A seconder, Councillor Gleeson. All those in favour for? Against? Carried 7-0. There being no public participants today, we move to the councillors' reports. The monthly financial report. The Director of Corporate and Governance Services, Mr. Small.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, we've got before you the last of our monthly financial reports for the 2023-24 year. This report is largely in line with what we had anticipated and reported through the May finance report using. So we think these figures are likely to be what we end up with, or very close to what we end up with after we have the final audit of the 2023-24 results. But of course, there might be some variances coming through still. But this is our interim results for the year, and they're largely in line with what we had expected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Are there any questions or discussion on item 2.1, the monthly financial report, June 20? Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to ask Mr. Small a question in relation to the income statement, which appears on our agenda, page 44 of 352. Just the notes at the bottom of that page, number 3, where it refers to the quarry sales, 770,000 favourable, offset by private works, 360,000 unfavourable. Could I just get an understanding of what private works we're referring to and why that might have been an unfavourable result, please?
Mr. Small.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the question, Councillor. What we're reporting on is a variance on operating sales for the year. And the note is slightly poorly worded because it seems to be linking together quarry sale, which is one kind of part of our operating sales, and the other one is private work sales, which is to do with the provision of third-party, provision of roadworks to third parties, say Vic Roads. So we are reporting that we had a 770,000 favourable variance for the quarry, but unfortunately the amount of roadworks we did for Vic Roads and other people external to the council was less than we had budgeted for or expected, of around 360,000. That's the 260,000 unfavourable. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Small. Are there any further questions or discussion? Councillor Purcell.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. 2.5, overdue debtors. The payment by arrangement's gone up by about 50%. Can you just explain to me why that's occurred?
Mr. Small.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor, for the question. This is obviously of great interest to us at council because the payment by arrangement has gone up from 497,000 to 626 over the course of the year. And the reason for that is twofold. One is that's 128,000, and that's 26%. And the two main contributing factors are there's an increase in interest payable by the debtors of $40,000. And there's also obviously a bit of difficulty being experienced by rural ratepayers at the moment, because the rural area rates for the rural ratepayers have gone up by 110,000 over this period. And this is there may be a number of factors contributing to that, but what will be intending to do is follow up with these ratepayers now that the financial year is over, and to see where they're placed and what we can do to help them with their arrangements to pay their rates.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Are there any further questions? Yes, Councillor Purcell.
Yeah, Mayor, just to follow up on that, I think it's a good time to remind ratepayers who are having difficulty that there is an opportunity to contact council rather than just leave them. And, you know, that we will be, you know, as a council, we are quite sympathetic to, you know, the times that are going on. And, you know, if they do contact us, that they will get consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Purcell. Right, any further questions or discussion? Yeah, Councillor Gleeson.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a question, Mr. Small. You know, sort of provisional results, you know, due to timing. So when would our end of financial year figures be available?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, Councillor Gleeson. We're expecting to have the audit in late August, and then we bring a report to the council in September, which will be the financials and the annual report. So they'll be combined into one report. And that's when we'll have it. That's when we'll have the final numbers.
And just to follow up then, so no surprises, everything's tracking as it should, or as you expect.
Thank you, Mayor. I hate to say it, but I'm reasonably confident that there are no surprises. Nothing has come across my desk that I think that I am concerned about. But there's always the variances in things like the carrying amount of assets disposed, and so there may be some anomalous numbers in that, but I'm reasonably confident.
Right, thank you. Any further questions or discussion before I seek a move of the officer recommendation? Any further questions or discussion? If not, looking for a mover and a second for the officer recommendation to receive the note preliminary financial report as at the end of 30th of June 2024. Do I have a mover? Do I have a mover? Councillor Gleeson. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Foster. Councillor Gleeson as mover of the motion of recommendation, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, you know, times are tough. We understand that. We've just been through the budget process. I'd like to commend the officers and their staff for keeping us on track, I guess. You know, we'll have a better understanding of where we finished at next month's meeting. But, you know, they do a great job as far as managing our finances. And as I state all the time, these are very important monthly updates. But again, congratulations to our team, and I'm happy to commend this report.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Foster, a seconder of the motion recommendation, please.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm very happy to support this as well. It's good to see the figures looking robust. I also just want to acknowledge that this council's decision to invest in the project management office really seems to be paying off for us now. 15% increase in productivity, and we're finally clearing some of that backlog of carry forward projects, which is really heartening. So it's terrific that we're building our in-house expertise for down the track as well. So happy to support this motion, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Does any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Does any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll refer to Councillor Gleeson, who moved the motion. Right, I'll put item number 2.1 to the vote. Those in favour, for? Against? That is Councillor Dukas, Smith, Mead, Gleeson, Foster and Lockett for the motion. Councillor Purcell against. Thank you. Right, we'll move on now to item 2.2, Festival and Event Funding 24-25. The Director of Environment, Economy and Place, Ms McNamara.
Thank you. Thank you, councillors. This report provides detail of the current year festival and event funding program. It also provides recommendation on awarding those events and festivals that have applied for the funding this year. We have had a good response from participating festival and event organisers. It's always a really tough, I guess, weighting of the criteria when we are so well subscribed, but we have attempted to be fair across the board. We have had 29 applications, collectively requesting around $170,000 worth, and that equates to a total of $343,000 in value of events. We are confident that the program will provide increased economic benefit to Moyne. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms McNamara. Any questions or discussion on item 2.2, please? Yeah, Councillor Mead.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Tamara. Just a question, perhaps if people are looking on there saying that obviously we can't afford to fund everyone to their full request. So just a bit of the reason why some get a certain percentage and others get a different percentage.
Ms McNamara.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Mead. The funding applications are weighted through the different criteria and are scored collectively out of a panel of 4 officers. There is different, I guess, criteria in relation to whether they've been previously funded, the size of the event, the number of patrons and that type of thing. I do have Ms Lindsay here who can provide further clarification for you if that's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So what Ms McNamara touched on, the criteria is judged by 4 council officers and a rating is given from that. In addition, because the funding is always very well subscribed, we also take into consideration how detailed the application was the event new or existing, the location of the event to ensure that we're getting a nice spread across the Shire, the attendee numbers, whether they're previous or projected, and what the potential economic impact would be to the Shire.
Thank you.
Right. Any further questions or discussion, please? No further questions or discussion. I'll seek a move of the officer recommendation that a council approve funding for events and festival for the value of $110,000 as outlined in the report. Do we have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Mead, seconded by Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Mead as mover of the motion, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, as mentioned in the introduction, that this has a 3 times multiple of expenditure. We're happy to fund 110,000 towards these 27 events across the Shire, and we expect there to be additional spend of up to another 240, so 340,000 altogether. So that is a fantastic result and a great return on investment. And I think also beyond that, the calculation of what's spent in each of the towns when these events are on, etc., and the economic growth and economic activity is on top of that as well. So a fantastic grant that we offer at Moyne Shire, and thank those who put in the application, and the events are a success.
Thank you, Councillor Mead. Councillor Gleeson as seconder of the motion, please.
Yeah, thank you. Advertised period 1st of the 4th to the 6th of the 5th. This is a great program, and it's a way that we can support the contribution of the community, because most of these groups are volunteer groups. So it's a great thing for us to be able to do. And also I recognise now that the community groups are aware of it and they're in on it early. You know, last year we had some groups coming to us out of the advertised period going, oh, you know, we need this, and we try to help them. But, I guess from a councillor's point of view, I always ask, why can't we fund a lot? I mean, it'd be a great thing to do. And I I'd certainly encourage the new council to have a look at, revenues we receive from different areas and see why we can't, build a big pond to support all of these community groups, because it's a great thing that we do. And I not only encourage people to get involved in it, but I thank all those community groups that have applied. And I again recognise the contribution of volunteers. So well done.
Thank you, councillor Gleeson. Does any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Councillor Lockett.
Sorry, trying to the mute button. Thank you, Mayor. Through you, agree with everyone's comments thus far. A great spread across the Shire, and I think the team have done a phenomenal job. We often have, really flesh this out, but the team, the work that's gone into this is, second to none. We obviously times are a bit tough, and I think we also wanted to do a bit of a shout out. Correct me, Councillor Foster, just regarding the passing of an absolute, a really important advocate in the art space, Jo Grant, that's passed away. An absolute superstar. She was a gentle yet powerful soul who'll be dearly missed by the Southwest arts community. So I thought a good time to do it, because she was really a great advocate across the arts and music scene for Southwest Victoria. So I just wanted to shout out for Jo, the friends and family. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Lockett. Any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll refer to councillor Mead as mover of the motion, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, and it's a credit to see such an active event scene within Moyne Shire. This, as I said, actually I said 28, but there's 29 actual events that are going to go on that we are going to happily support for the next, for this financial year. So well done to them. Most of them are volunteer run, so it's a great effort and happy to support them. And thanks for our personal events team that have gone through and put these applications and recommendations together.
Thanks, councillor Mead. I'll put item number 2.2 to the vote. Those in favour, for. Against, carried 7-0. Thank you. Move on now to the arts, item 2.3, the arts and culture strategy. I'll refer again to the Director of Assets and Community, Ms Farrell.
Thank you. Through the Mayor. Councillors, the draft arts and cultural strategy is before you. This project, the development of this strategy, has been processed for a number of months and was developed with the assistance of a community representative group. So we had 10 local community members who put up their hands to be part of a project advisory committee, which was a really positive way to input into the strategy. There's been extensive consultation, and we were assisted by Future Tense, a consulting company who have helped us shape the feedback into what's presented before you today. The strategy is intended to focus on key areas around supporting initiatives, provision of space, strengthening of connections, and creation of opportunities for artistic and cultural endeavours. There are a set of really clear objectives of the strategy contained in the document, with a clear timeline on the achievement of those. And I think in terms of a document, it's a realistic starting point. There's nothing that's not achievable within the strategy, and it's set out in terms of short, medium and long-term actions. We had a lot of interest and consultation right across the Shire, really positive feedback, notably members of Koroit and Mortlake townships, really emphasising strong desire to see initiatives started in their township. So that was really positive. So I commend the report and strategy for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms Farrell. Any questions or discussion on item 2.3? Any questions or discussion? Yes, councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mayor. A question for Ms Farrell. This is obviously a strategy. In terms of budget to deliver, how are we tracking there? Do we have some resources to get this off the ground? Appreciating that a lot of the actions don't require anything beyond some staff time, but what budget do we have to keep it going?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Foster, through the Mayor. So yes, we have indicated both in the report and specifically broken it down within the strategy itself, what aspects are funded either through staff time or will rely on some additional dollar commitment. But all of those financial commitments are within the operational budget. So there's not an expectation that there'll be any additional burden or requirement on council, but we are also looking at opportunities for external funding where they may present, and we know already that there's some local philanthropic trusts that are really interested to support some of the initiatives that are contained within the strategy. So we would be looking at all of those opportunities as well, but certainly we have a dedicated staff member and we have internal resource subject to council making a decision each year on its operational budget, but it's contained within the current operational budget.
Thank you.
Right, any further questions or yes, Councillor Gleeson.
Not a question, Mayor, but a comment. I actually sat in on a workshop at the community house, and I was absolutely not blown away, but by the quality of the people that were there and the interest in this program. I mean, what a great springboard we've got in Moyne Shire, right across the Shire, as you know, the cultural centre of the universe. But these people, want to have an input, and if you have a look at the contributors there, it's just been awesome. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that attended those workshops and for their magnificent contribution.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Are there any further questions or discussion before I seek a mover of item 2.3? If not, is there a mover and seconder of item? Yes, Councillor Foster. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Lockett. Councillor Foster as mover of the officer recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm really delighted to move this. It was one of the actions this council agreed to in its council plan, so we've just made it in before the end of term. I think we've talked today about the environment we're operating in, which is incredibly competitive when it comes to funding, and I think what I have seen over the course of this term is that quite often the arts get relegated to the back seat or even further back into the boot nearly sometimes. So this strategy provides us with a framework. We have copped a bit of criticism over the time for not doing enough and for not having enough focus on the creative industries in Moyne Shire. So I really hope that this marks a beginning point of a new era for us, where we do give it much more credence and we do treat it with the respect, the creative industries, that is, with the respect that they deserve, because it's a really important contributor to our regional economy. But perhaps even more importantly, it enriches all of our lives in different ways. So I'm delighted to support this. And again, as Councillor Lockett did earlier, I would just like to acknowledge the input and leadership from Joe Grant, who did sadly pass away last week. I think Joe was certainly a wonderful advocate for the arts and for the creative industries. And I think she would be delighted to see this strategy supported today. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Councillor Lockett, as seconder of the motion, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Very, very well said by Councillor Foster. Yeah, and as we've spoke about before, the arts is often kind of underlooked. So it is fantastic that we're focusing more in this space. As Councillor Gleeson said before, we'd be one of the, other than wind farms, in terms of the festivals and events and arts that take place in our Shire, we are punching well above our weight. So, I think in terms of sharing resources and things like that, and really having some structure and strategic direction to the arts in the Shire is a very good thing. It's already flourishing, but let's, keep it flourishing, because as Councillor Foster spoke about, you know, we've got there's a lot of festivals dropping off around the country because it's just getting difficult. So if we can help support them to flourish, great. That's what we should do. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Lockett. Does any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Does any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll refer to councillor Foster as mover of item 2.3, art and culture strategy.
No need for anything further. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Foster. I'll put item 2.3 to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, carried 7-0. Thank you. Right, we move on to item 2.4. Carbon light fleet offset program. I'll refer to Ms. McNamara.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, the Council Community Carbon Offset Program is an annual program that we initiate to encourage tree planting throughout the Shire on both public lands and also private lands. This year we have received nearly double the response from both private and public submitters. The program results in a healthy or non-verified carbon offset that we've attempted to measure, but the intent is to help support property owners to provide shelter belts and their biodiversity initiatives. We have about 24 applications received, with 3 being public lands and about 21 in the private land section. I will note within the recommendation we have a typing error, which Michael and Loretta Moroney, apologies, it should be Michael and Loretta Moroney, that we can correct. Thank you. The recommendation is to approve those programs.
Thank you, Ms. McNamara. Any questions or discussion on the Community Council Carbon Offset Program? Councillor Mead.
Thanks, Mayor. So, Ms. McNamara, although they're not officially offsetting carbon, this would go beyond our light fleet, what we're up to here.
Through you, Mayor. Anecdotally, yes, we're heading in the right direction to potentially offset our light fleet emissions.
Right. Any further questions or discussion, please? If not, I'll seek a mover of the officer recommendation, please. Do we have a mover of the Councillor Gleeson? Do we have a seconder? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Foster. Councillor Gleeson as mover of item 2.4.
Thanks, Mayor. During our budget process, we allowed people to come in and have a chat to us about things that they wanted to see across the Shire. We had a very, very passionate Carly Reeves come and present to us. And I'm not sure we can call her a tree person, but she's certainly a tree person. She loves the trees. And she presented really well and very passionately. In light of the fact that we had National Tree Day last week, I'd like to send a shout out to Carly. I hope she's probably not watching, but hopefully she receives this little message from Councillor Gleeson. This is something fantastic that we do. And hopefully, it's not on the back of your presentation, but it's just a way that we can support you and what you believe in. And, certainly try to limit the damage that we do through our light fleet, et cetera, et cetera. So very happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Foster, as seconder of the motion.
Thanks, Mayor. I really love this program. I think we often as councillors don't get to see the fruits of our labour in very tangible ways, but this is one way that we're down the track in years to come. I think it's something we can be really proud of. and it's a win-win for all of us. It's great for farmers, it increases their productivity, as well as great for our environment. So really delighted to support this one.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. Does any councillor wish to speak for? Oh, Councillor Mead.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wonder if I could just move a slight amendment there. If the mover and seconder were happy to it, there was just a double up there on application number. Just looking for the list here. Application 10 and 11. Just wonder if we could have an amendment to remove 11.
Right, thank you. That is, as mover and seconder of the motion, are you comfortable with removing item 10 from the list number 2?
Yeah, it looks like it's a double up. I think it's two different applications, but given that we're prepared to support once, I would yes, I'd support that motion, the variance, because I'd like to see what the applicant does with the first application.
Thanks, Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Foster, are you comfortable with that amended?
Yes, fine with me. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, the amended motion will now become, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour of the amended motion? That's right. The amended motion will now become the motion. Does any councillor wish to speak in favour of? Yes, Councillor Mead.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, once, assuming this is all fulfilled, we'll be up to nearly 100,000 trees that we've supported the planting of across the Moyne Shire since this has begun. So since it was introduced that private landholders were able to apply as well, as you can see, there's a graph there that shows a huge jump in the number of trees planted since 2021. So good initiative helping farmers with shelter for their livestock, but also planting more trees in the Shire.
Thank you, Councillor Mead. Any other councillor wish to speak for the motion? Oh, Councillor Lockett. Sorry, it's a bit hard to see.
That's all right. Thank you, Mayor, through you. I just thought I've got in the corner here a little Moyne at work. Probably can't see it too good. And a tree here. Great to see the kindergartens in the Moyne Shire getting around to plant a tree. National Tree Day as well. So that's been rolled out across the Shire. I just thought it was a good time to throw that in as well. Very well received.
Thank you, Councillor Lockett. Any other councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll refer to Councillor Gleeson as mover of the amended motion.
Thanks, Matt. Look, just a couple of things, I guess. Council actually oversees this whole program. Used to be outsourced, but we do it now. And of course, we quit the funds after the planning. So it's not that we're just handing out money for no result. So that's a really important thing to understand. So I really look forward to all of the people that have applied committing to the project, and hopefully we can run it for a long time to come.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. I'll put item number 2.4 to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, carried 7-0. Thank you. We'll move on to item 2.5, payment of invoice to the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action regarding the former Port Fairy landfill project. I'll call on Ms McNamara, Director of Environment, Ecology and Place.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors. This item relates to a request from the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action, DECA, to pay part of monies that council is holding that has been funded previously. The amount is in excess of the CEO's delegation, which is why we're bringing it into council for decision. The progression of the Port Fairy landfill site has taken some time to date. We are keen to see that it progress And this is the next step in its progression to potentially address that issue, which is probably quite understood and known by the community. We have a recommendation there to support the payment to progress the matter, and we recommend that for you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms McNamara. Are there any questions or discussion on item 2? Yes, councillor Mead.
Yes, Mayor. Thanks, Ms McNamara. Just a question. So if the public out there, especially around the Port area, might be thinking, well, the council got 1.5 million funding from DECA a few years back, and now they're asking for some back. So what assurances do we have as councillors that this money will be actioned on in a timely manner to get some results and address some of the concerns of the community about Port Fairy tips like that?
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, councillor Mead. I think this is a good opportunity to reiterate a good communication plan back to the community so that they understand any timelines that need to be adhered to, and a good opportunity to maintain the momentum to keep the project going. I have Ms Miller here if there's anything further to add there.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, Councillor Mead, the payment of this invoice will allow the finalisation of the procurement process for DECA to commence this next stage of the project, and there'll be engagement as part of that project.
If I may, is the next stage of this project going to be some physical activity, or is it more consultants type work?
Through you, Mayor, it's a climate and coastal adaptation plan and business case. So it's setting out the way forward and some potential risk assessments and potential financial implications for the future.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yeah, councillor Gleeson.
Thanks, Mayor. To either, just, we talk about coastal crown land and freehold land owned / managed by council. Can we just try and make it simple for the ratepayers? DECA are overseeing this. They gave us money and now they're asking to take it back so that they can pay some bills along the way. And what is our role in the rehabilitation?
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, councillor Gleeson. We are part of the project management group that is overseen by the department. We are a key stakeholder in that project, but the project management of the site rests with DECA.
So, given that this is going to be a report to come back to us and hopefully give us a way forward, so there's a potential that, there's a lot more costs that are going to come towards council.
Through you, Mayor. The potential costs going forward are part of the next part of the work that this next phase project will identify. It will also put us in good stead for any potential funding for the whole of the site as well. In terms of council's future commitment, that is unknown at this stage. Sorry.
Right, thank you. Any further questions or discussion, please? If not, I'll seek a mover and seconder for item 2.5, please. Do we have a mover for item 2.5? Have a mover? Councillor Lockett. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Foster. Councillor Lockett as mover of the officer recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. It's been frustrating, to be honest, that it's taken so long to get to this point. I thought we were in the process of developing a business plan, but we got $1.5 million from the state government in 2018. It's 2024 and we're still waiting. So I hope we keep up better dialogue on the behalf from DECA. I think Moyne's been, pushing as much as we can, but I really want DECA to kind of, obviously in March, we're going to get this report back. But it's frustrating that it's taking so long because we need an outcome. You know, we've been band-aiding bullet wounds with this project, and I think we need to finalise that long-term solution. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Lockett. Councillor Foster, a seconder of the recommendation, please.
Thanks, Mayor. In supporting this, I also want to express my frustration. We all had sat through a briefing with the state government a few weeks ago around this, and it was a little disheartening to hear that their short-term solution is to engage some more consultants and looking at a horizon of 5 to 10 years. There's a lot of inaction, a lot of money being spent, and I'd just like to add my voice to those calling for communication from the state to our communities to let them know what's happening. We can't do it on our own, unfortunately. Some of the estimates are as high as 60 million. I think that figure was bandied around at one point for full remediation of the site. So we can't do that alone. We're really relying on our state counterparts and perhaps federal as well. So fingers crossed, things start to gather a bit of momentum from here on.
Thank you, councillor Foster. Does any councillor wish to speak for the officer recommendation, please? Does any councillor wish to speak against the officer recommendation? I'll call on councillor Lockett as mover, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I think hopefully Dika can feel our frustrations and get on with the process. Thanks, Mayor.
Right, thanks, councillor Lockett. I'll put item 2.5 to the vote. Those in favour 4. Against, carried 7-0. Move again on to item numbers 2.6. The road naming at the Kudgee subdivision. I'll call on Mr. Small, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor, this report is consequent to the subdivision the council has been working with in Kudgee, where there has been a subdivision plan circulated in the local community, which has identified the names of 2 proposed roads. And what we are requesting council do as the naming authority to endorse the name of those for those 2 roads that are put forward, Newman Drive and Aden Court. And as I might just go on as a second issue, we were concerned that we don't seem to have a list of road names that's up to date, potential road names that we want to. The second recommendation is to progress the formulation of such a list.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Are there any questions or discussions on item 2.6, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, councillor Dukas.
Part 2 of the recommendation, the progressive formulation of list of road names. So if we don't have a list of road names at the moment, because we're relying on people who are doing subdivisions to come up with the names, or any other road, but any other road that already exists would have a name. So would it only be roads that have a name that people want changed, or subdivisions? So why are we trying to formulate a list that really doesn't exist?
Mr. Small.
Thank you. Councillor Dugas, what we're attempting to do is to have a list available so that if people approach us and say they'd like to select a name, we can have the names that are already duplicated or felt to be appropriate for the area, particularly with the government's new focus on female names and Indigenous names and local flora and fauna. So we'll have that list of approved names that are not duplicating other roads in the area. That's the reason why it would be helpful.
But I thought at the moment we have a policy that determines how we pick names. So you intend to change that policy?
Thank you. This is
to have a sort of direct approach to this is the name you're going to have, whereas before we've got this formula on how the name should be applied to that particular area, and then it's up to the community to have input and the council to look at that input.
Mr. Small.
Thank you. The road naming rules that we have in place are for roads that are going to be newly created. The subdivision is a separate process which we've been following under the Subdivision Act, and I might ask Director McNamara to comment any further on the Subdivision Act.
Ms McNamara.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Ordinarily, a subdivision, when it creates a new road, the subdivider or developer would go to a list of road names that has already been established and gone through a public consultation process. The subdivider is able to select a name from that list that they find appropriate at that time, and it's a very quick and streamlined process through the subdivision plan. In this instance, there's no list available for Cudgee, and the subdivider has requested the names that are within the plan of subdivision. If in the future a subdivider is not in favour of any of the names on the list, they do have an option to separately request a different name if that's the case.
Thank you, Ms McNamara.
I hope that answers that.
Well, it does to a certain extent, but it seems like we're starting to direct. Well, it's mainly to do with subdivisions. The roads already exist. It's very rare to get a new road and a new name that doesn't already exist. I thought the subdivider should have input on the names that go into that person's subdivision in relation to the formula we got in place, which means local names, local places of identity, etc. Whereas what was sort of Mr. Small was alluding to, that it's getting a little bit directional. The council is going to give you this list of names, and you've got to have X amount of men names, X amount of women, X amount of this and that. Whereas it shouldn't go down that path. It should be open to the community and the person who owns the subdivision to determine the names. So I'm just airing my concern that we're becoming too dictatorial on what sort of names go where, that's all.
Thank you, councillor Dukas. Any further questions or discussion before I seek a mover and seconder, please? If not, I'll seek a mover and a seconder of item number 2.6, the road naming Cudgee. Councillor Mead. To have a seconder, please. That's Councillor Gleeson. Thank you. Councillor Mead is mover of the recommendation.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and happy to move this motion that endorse the road naming of Amon Drive and Aiden Court for the new subdivision in Cudgee, and also just the opportunity, take the opportunity to commend the person who has gone to the effort to go through the process to create the subdivision there, because it has been great for Cudgee and the local area to have those influx of population and families move in. For the school, the small school in Cudgee has increased numbers. The local CFA brigade has increased numbers. Neighbouring football, netball clubs have had the opportunity to attract more players because of this increase in families in Cudgee. But also opportunities for those that are working in surrounding agricultural sector have a place, rural setting to settle their family to be able to work on local farms and ag sector. So it's been very successful, and I'm really pleased to see it get to this point, and happy to endorse the road names. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Mead. Councillor Gleeson, the seconder.
Thank you. Just to endorse Councillor Mead's comments, I mean, how great it is that, you know, in this case, local developers want to see their little community thrive. And, you know, I mean, as we mentioned, the schools, clubs, all of those things benefit. So congratulations to those that are responsible for this development. And without going into confidential, very, very pleased with the names and the link to family, and I certainly do want to commemorate their names, and we do feel the same way. So well done to the developers.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Does any councillor wish to speak for the officer recommendation? Any councillor wish to speak against? I'll call on Councillor Mead as mover, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Nothing really further to add, just pleased to see got to this point, and it's great for Kudgee and the surrounds, and it'll be wonderful to see a few more applications to be assessed on their merits to come to council for small towns like Kudgee across the Shire.
Thanks, councillor Mead. We'll put item number 2.6 to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, carried 7-0. Thank you. I'll move on to item 2.7, Community Satisfaction Survey 2024, the result report. Again, I'll call on Mr. Small, the Director of Corporate and Governance, please. Mr.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Councillors, this is a report we get each year. The government runs across all of the councils a community satisfaction survey to get a sense of how the community is viewing individual councils and the industry. And I'd just like to draw your attention to page 135, which has got a table which does show that we're making good progress against most of the measures. We were better in 2024 than 23 in most of the measures except 2. We're better than all the large rural shires on every matter, and we're worse than the statewide sector on only one issue. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Are there any questions or discussion on item 2.7, please? Yeah, councillor Mead.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Small, for introducing this, and it is pleasing to see overall that there's been improvements across most of the areas. It is one way, internally of the 4-year term that council can be assessed on their achievements or areas for improvement. So, yeah, it's good to see some of those key areas have picked up. Just a question on one of the areas for improvement for Ms. Farrell, I'd suggest the unsealed local roads continues to be an area that we can work on. So could you give councillors and ratepayers a bit of an understanding of what some of the key actions your team are going to be working on to try and improve those figures?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Mead, through the Mayor. In the lead up actually to the survey being undertaken this year, officers did present to council a report on a range of initiatives that we were looking to undertake to try and shift the dial on our roads outcomes, both the sealed and unsealed networks. And it's actually pleasing to see that our sealed roads has increased by a point, and that I think can be attributed in part to some of those initiatives where we've really lifted our education and information to the community on what we actually are doing in the road space, and particularly around educating the community about whose roads they are. So we've got a really large road network. A number of those roads are arterial roads that are Vic roads, and often our community do get confused about which roads are our responsibility and which roads are state government responsibility. It's an ongoing challenge for this council because we have over 1,000 kilometres of unsealed roads and over 3,500 kilometres of roads in total. So it's often a challenge when we're comparing ourselves to the likes of Metro, who would probably have far less in terms of the unsealed network particularly. We have had conversation with council in the lead up to the budget, and we're hoping to be able to increase the budget to actually increase the amount of grading that we do on our roads, and appreciate that that is a challenge in terms of being able to allocate additional funds. So we're looking at creative ways to address the grading. So we're currently looking at the road management plan and looking to define 2 types of access roads and differentiate between high and low priority unsealed roads, with the aim of looking to, for the ones that are deemed of higher priority, we'll be looking to do 2 gradings and lower priority 1 grading. So it's shifting the resources around to try and address the issue of the frequency of grading. Council has also positively agreed for us to keep an additional grader. So we now have 8 graders in our fleet, which is a a fantastic opportunity for us to use those to undertake road work on our narrow unsealed roads in terms of both the shoulders and drainage, and council also allocated additional money into our drainage program budget this year. So we're hoping that, as well as the education and informing the community with the additional resources that we've got, and we'll continue to look for additional opportunities for resources, that we'll be able to continue to see the unsealed road figure go up. It's remained the same as last year, so that's neutral. It's neither positive nor negative, I guess, but it's 1 point below our comparator, which is our other rural shires, and significantly under the metro shires by 4 points. But you would expect that, given that they don't have the same challenges that we have with a large unsealed road network. So we'll continue to look at those initiatives throughout the year in terms of how we program and how we manage the unsealed road network. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Any further questions or discussion on item 2.7, please? Councillor Foster.
Mayor, and thanks, Ms. Gale, for that comprehensive understanding of what's happening with the unsealed road networks. A question, Mr. Small, or perhaps even for our freshly minted CEO, Mr. Everstein, more broadly, what do we do with these results in terms of seeking improvement? Because as good as these results are, there's obviously always room for improvement. So more broadly, what's the plan to improve on this next year?
Yes, through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Foster, for the question. Look, I think feedback's always a gift to any team, and we need to treat it that way. And I'd like to thank all the participants of the survey this year for giving us that opportunity. The focus here for us is it's a real reminder that we are here to serve the community as a team and understand their priorities, and at the end of the day, ensure our time and resources are really strengthened in the greatest areas of need. So I think the message around roads, and also with that planning, and with that probably some lobbying and advocacy is really clear. But roads are certainly number one, and has been for some time. So I'm really pleased that Ms. Farrell was able to give that detailed update there. I think that gives some indication of the work that's already been done to this point. But what's vital now is we continue that effort and continue to find new ways to enhance the road to this point. But you're seeing that through some of the resources that have been added. My particular interest is the uptime of all of those investments. So the 8 graders and all the trucks that do repair things like potholes and roads and build new roads. Ensuring that we are maximising the time that they're spending on the roads doing the great work that they can do. So that's the opportunity here. And then sort of back through, I think, advocacy and communication is also sharing what we're doing in a really effective way with the community. We obviously all live in different and at work in different parts of the Shire. So I think it's bringing those messages right across the Shire to really highlight the hard work that the team are doing every day to get those results. So a couple of just key items there for me. I need to add Mr. Small to those comments.
No, I don't believe. I think the key is working with our staff, so the teams who actually develop on the ground solutions, tap into their knowledge.
Just to finish off the point, also just working closely with state and federal governments and bodies to advocate strongly for those areas of need, and really ensure that that always is another avenue of growth in terms of funding and resources. We need to work as 3 arms of government together in harmony to get the best possible results for the community. So in the end, this all comes back to the most important focus for our team, which is safety and wellbeing, and road conditions are obviously paramount to that, to both our teams and the community we serve.
Thank you, Mr. Everstein. Any further questions or discussion before I seek a seconder or mover, please? Right, do we have a mover and a seconder for item 2.7, the community satisfaction survey? Councillor Mead. And do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Mead as mover of 2.7.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. As mentioned in the earlier question I had, overall, there's improvements across the vast majority of the key measurement areas. So that is a credit to our team at Moyne and all the different departments that work in these areas that try their best daily to improve the situation and do the best of their role, whatever it is, across the team at Moyne. So well done to them to see those improvements. And for the areas that we still need to work on, it is pleasing to hear the answers to the questions before the motion was moved, that there are already some key actions identified to try and improve these key performance indicators, I guess you'd say, as judged by 400 ratepayers that are ringing up and asked the questions over the phone. So, and hope to watch with interest in future ones to see them continue to improve. So happy to move the motion. Thanks, Mead.
Thank you, Councillor Mead. Councillor Gleeson, the seconder.
Thanks, Mead. Just Councillor Mead's questioning allowed Director Farrell to make some valid points in relation to what roads are ours and what aren't. And I'm very, very pleased that we're actually going pretty heavy on the advertising, for want of a better word, to let people know what are and our roads, are and aren't our roads. And obviously, if it's a major road, it's not ours, and therefore not allowed to touch it. And given that the state government has spent absolutely no money on country roads, it's a timely reminder that to again support our CEO and saying advocacy is just one of the most key issues for us, and to try and help all rural councils get their fair share, because there's no work going on in any of our major arterials, which there needs to be. So again, I support Councillor Mead's comments that if we're improving, that's on the back of the good work done by our officers and our staff particularly. So while we can always get better, and that's what these reports are about, Mr. Mayor, is to help us get better, I think we're actually leading the way in a lot of areas. So well done to our staff. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Does any councillor wish to speak for the item 2.7, the community satisfaction survey? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion, please? If not, I'll refer to Councillor Mead as mover of item 2.7. Councillor Mead.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just rounding out, it does tell us a lot of information, but it's not so much what it tells us, it's more important as to how we respond to these figures, and it gives us good hints and clues about areas that we can target to make sure that we deliver for our ratepayers. So thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mead. I'll put item 2.7 to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, carried 7-0. Thank you. We'll move on to item 2.8, the councillor expense policy. Again, Mr. Small.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Councillors, at each of our meetings over the last 6 months, I've been saying we have to look at a couple of policies. We need to refresh our policy suite. The Risk and Water Committee has been pushing us to do that, or reminding us to do that. So we've got 2 policies today. The first one is a refresh of the council expense policy. What we've done in this case is look at the previous policy and made very minor changes. All we've really done is include a paragraph for remote area travellers allowance for councillors on page 281, which is recognising an allowance that we've always had in the past. So we're not changing anything, we're just actually formalising it in the policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Any questions or discussion to Mr. Small? If not, I'll seek a mover and seconder of item 2.8, please. Do we have a mover, please? We have a mover, Councillor Gleeson. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Foster. Councillor Gleeson.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, it's just a report that had to be updated. Given the fact that 7 current councillors aren't too much aware of it. I don't think we've taken advantage of it at any stage. But I can comment on the audit risk, Mr. Small, and very conscious that they've asked you and the current directors and staff to get as many things up to date as they can. So I appreciate the work that you do, and I'm happy to support this update.
Thank you, councillor Gleeson. Councillor Foster, a seconder of the item.
Thanks, Mayor. Relatively procedural. I think it spells things out very clearly, not only for us and for our committee representatives, but also to our ratepayers, to whom we're ultimately accountable. So I think it's always good to have that clarity. Happy to support. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Foster. Any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? I'll call on councillor Gleeson as mover of item 2.7.
I know, Mayor.
I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, carried 7-0. Thank you. Move on to item 2.9, councillor update on candidate session planning. Over to you again, please, Mr. Small.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, we've put this report up just as an update of where we are with the council candidate process. We're trying to recruit candidates for the next council election. And we've got 3 sessions looming, one on the 31st of July, which is tomorrow, one on the 22nd of August, and one on the 4th of September. The one amendment I'd like to draw to the attention of the councillors is that for the session tomorrow, the panel consists of Jordan Lockett, Councillor Jordan Lockett, Councillor Damien Gleeson, and myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Are there any questions or discussion on item 2.9? If not, I'll seek a mover and a second. Oh, sorry, councillor.
Just a comment.
Yes.
Again, not a question, just a statement. I'm a first-term councillor, and council didn't offer these when I was running, so I commend the governance team. If there's to give the governance team for putting them in place and really in an informal manner, allowing and encouraging those that might be seeking election to come along. So, you know, I'm fairly certain that they're informal, but I commend the Shire for doing it, because it certainly wasn't in place at the last lead into the election. So
Thanks, councillor Gleeson. Any councillor, any questions for a mover and seconder, please? If not, do we have a mover and a seconder for item 2.9, please? Councillor Foster, do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Lockett. Councillor Foster as mover of item 2.9.
Thanks, Mayor. I concur with councillor Gleeson. This is a terrific initiative for prospective councillors, and I encourage anyone who's even thought, I wonder what it's like to be a councillor, to come along. I think there's plenty of evidence to prove that diversity in decision making is a really good thing. So let this be the last term that Moyne Shire is represented by a solo woman. I think in the 3 terms before me, Councillor Jill Parker was the only woman on Moyne Shire Council. Obviously, I'm the only woman this term. So I would be delighted to see a really strong field of candidates with a lot more diversity than we currently have, because it will ultimately lead to much better decision making.
Thank you, councillor Foster. Councillor Lockett as seconder of the motion, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Yeah, I completely agree with Councillor Foster's comments, and just encourage anyone that's, you know, had a little inkling of maybe running, just to come along and have a chat. You know, as Councillor Gleeson said, it'll be pretty, you know, informal, just have a chat and talk about, you know, pros and cons and challenges and all things like that. So diversity is a great thing, and we definitely need more of it in Moyne. So encourage people to come along. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Lockett. Does any councillor wish to speak against the motion? Any councillor wish to speak for the motion? If not, I'll refer to councillor Foster as mover, please.
No need for anything further. Thanks, Mayor.
I'll put item number 2.9 to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, carried 7-0. Thank you. Right, we'll move on to item 2.10, request to rescind historic council meeting policy. Mr. Small again.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, this is the second of the policies I referred to. I think the historic is probably a little misleading. It's a request to rescind the council meetings policy, which is an old policy. So this policy is largely covered in the governance rules now, so we feel it's actually redundant. So that's why we're requesting that we remove this policy.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Any questions or discussion on item 2.2? Councillor Gleeson.
Mr. Small, are you asking item 2.10 to read then, request to rescind the council meetings policy for historic?
I was just pointing out the word historic seemed redundant to me. But so the title can
Yeah, okay, that's all right, but it's the recommendation's fine then with the council meetings policy.
Right, any questions or discussion before I seek a mover and seconder, please? If not, do we have a mover and seconder of item 2.10? Do we have a mover, councillor Mead? Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Foster. Councillor Mead.
Thanks, Mayor, and based on our advice from Mr. Small that this doesn't reduce our governance cover at all by getting rid of this policy, I'm happy to rationalise. Thank you.
Thanks, councillor Mead. Councillor Foster, a seconder, please.
Thanks, Mayor. I think I was scratching my nose, but I'll take that. But
Oh, sorry.
Well, don't do that.
That's fine. Look, I think the world's changed a great deal in the last few years, in particular through COVID, and we now have a new Local Government Act. So I'm happy to see this updated and revised. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Foster. Does any councillor wish to speak for? Any councillor wish to speak against? I refer to councillor Mead as mover. Councillor Mead.
Nothing further.
Put item number 2.10 to the vote. All those in favour, for? Against? That was 7-0. Thank you. We'll call on now item number 2.11, please. Mr. Small again.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor, as part of our governance processes, we have an audit and risk committee, which some of the councillors, two of the councillors sit on. And in order to follow the governance direction of transparency and reporting, what we do is bring forward the unconfirmed minutes of the committee, except for any confidential items, for the council to consider in open council. So these are the minutes of the audit and risk committee on June the 12th.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Any questions or discussion, please? Yeah, councillor Gleeson.
Just a question, Mr. Small. So the audit and risk are happy for you to present this in this form to an open council meeting?
Councillor Gleeson, I've spoken with the chair of the Risk and Audit Committee, and we discussed this at some length, and we felt it was a comfortable way to do it.
Yeah, thank you. Any further questions or discussion? I'm seeking a mover and seconder of item.
Yeah, one quick question,
Yes,
Mr. Mayor.
councillor Douglas.
4.3 of the report, LGPRF reporting changes, Mr. Small, were there much changes to that?
That was the LGPRF. I don't believe there were many changes, but I would have to take a question on notice, councillor.
No, that's all right. If memory serves me correct, I thought there was a few changes made. Might have been late last year. Just maybe it's something they do, the government, change things just for the sake of changing them.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Item 2.11. If not, I'll seek a mover and seconder, please. Do we have a mover, please? Councillor Gleeson. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Foster. Thank you. Right. Councillor Gleeson as mover of the motion, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just as one of the councillors on the risk, very happy to have our minutes to be out there and viewed and observed, commented on. I think it's a fantastic committee, and I certainly enjoy being a part of it. So I'm happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Foster as seconder.
Thanks, Mayor. And along with Councillor Gleeson, I also sit on this committee, and I think we say this frequently, but the independent members take their role on that committee really seriously, and there's a lot of rigorous discussion, and I think it would give all of us as councillors and as community members a great level of comfort. So thank them also for their service.
Thank you, councillor Foster. Does any councillor wish to speak for the motion? Any councillor wish to speak against the motion? I'll call on councillor Gleeson as the mover of item 2.11.
Thanks, Mayor. Our CEO's referenced a couple of times today, the importance of the safety of their staff and all this sort of thing. Just among other things, CEO, but this committee is fantastic and it challenges staff. It certainly does. It identifies, and challenges risk, etc., etc. What's our appetite for it or our adversity towards it? I think that's it'll be a great comfort to you to know that, and referencing Councillor Foster with the independent members, they do take this very, very seriously, and it'll be a great comfort to you, I can assure you.
Thank you, councillor Gleeson. I'll put item 2.11 minutes from Audit and Risk Committee, the June meeting, to the vote. Those in favour, 4. Against, carried 7-0. Thank you. Move on now to item 3.1, Mayor and Councillor activities. You've all had a chance to have a look at that. Any questions, Councillor Mead?
Thanks, Mayor. Just probably a question for you, Mayor. On the 2nd to the 4th of July at Canberra at the National General Assembly of Local Government, and I believe Moyne put in a couple of motions with regard to trying to represent our community with renewable energy concerns. Just want an update on how those motions went.
The motion didn't get voted on, but we, with our advocacy, we met with Mr. Ted O'Brien and spoke on our advocacy for the, mainly with the offshore wind policy. So a very large agenda and often hard to get for motion on the agenda.
So what happens to those motions now?
I'm not sure what the procedure is with them moving forward. Will they go up next year, or it'll just depend. So I'm not sorry. I could find out. I'll get back to you.
No.
Right. Any further questions or discussion on item 3.1? We'll move on.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sorry.
The discussion on the green drought at Cobden.
Yeah, look, I attended it along with the majority of the Corangamite councillors, just discussion where we're going and mainly just what the councils can do. But since then it's rained and there hasn't been a lot of feedback since then, but mainly just discussion, and not only the green drought, the lack of water in the Heytesbury area was one of the major issues. So just going back just nearly a month ago. So I said, look, if there was anything that we could possibly do moving forward as a council, but there's not a lot we can do, but hopefully the season will progress now and move forward. But it was well attended, and but now that hopefully we're going back to a more normal rain pattern. But Southern Grampians have instigated a session at Sheep Pension, I think on Monday, CEO. So we'll be discuss bank officials and that there to discuss moving forward.
Sheep Pension on the Monday.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sunday, is it Sunday? Yeah.
Sunday.
It's Sunday and Monday session at Sheep Pension.
Right, Sunday, not Monday.
Right, any further questions on that? No council notion of motion. General matters, any general matters any councillor wishes to raise? If not, urgent business.
Yeah, just a quick one. I know it's in the CEO's report and some lovely photos, but the ladies' final was really good. Credit to the organisers, and thank you to Moyne Shire for participating. So hopefully next year we can go on to do bigger and better things.
Thank you, Councillor Dukas. Right, any further general matters? If not, no urgent business. I will move on to item 4, the CEO meeting schedule. Any questions on the CEO meeting schedule? Yeah, Councillor Lockett.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Not a direct question, but a welcome to the chamber. I'm not there in person, but it's fantastic to have our new CEO on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lockett. Thank you. Right, yeah, you mentioned me. Thank you. Any further discussion on the CEO activity report?
Which one are we up to now, sorry? No, 5 or 4 still?
5111.
Right, 5, yeah. Okay. Just wondering,
Yeah, councillor Mead.
Mr. Devon, might want to speak to the report, introduce.
Yes, Mayor, thank you, Councillor Mead, and thanks, Councillor Lockett, for the warm welcome, and yeah, the warm welcome right across the Moyne team, both from the councillors and also the team, and also the partners that we do business with every day. So the last couple of weeks it's been all about getting out to meet all of those folks, and I think the passion that I see, not just through here with the councillors, but right through our team, it is really self-evident with everybody you meet. So we've talked a lot about priorities that have come up today for us moving forward. But I think once, in taking that passion and enthusiasm that I'm seeing right across the team, I think, there's some really great times ahead. We're very conscious of the things that are important to the community and through our councillors and through some of the things like the survey that help define those priorities. So lots to be done in front of us, and really looking forward to getting into that with the team. But yeah, very grateful for the welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Everstein. Yes, councillor Purcell.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Look, a question to the CEO, or it's in his report, may go to Ms. Farrell. In regard to the Gibb Street Bridge limit reductions, I had a number of community members who are really concerned about the safety of that bridge, with the speed limit reductions and also the tonnage reduction. Is there any way we can reassure that the community that the bridge is safe and that they that they can use it safely without expecting it to fall over? And if so, sort of what are our plans for the future in regard to that?
Thank you, Councillor Purcell, through the Mayor. Yes, certainly we have done, and we can do further media and social media and other information out to the community about the safety of the bridge. It absolutely is safe. What we've put out previously in the media in relation to both the speed reduction and the load limit is the rationale around that being that we need to decrease the live load on the bridge and do that through speed reduction and reduce tonnage, really just as a way to try and extend the life of the bridge. So it's not about that it's not safe, it's just about trying to extend the life of it. Our engineering team regularly inspect the bridge so we can provide some additional information in the community to reassure around that. And we have had level 3 inspections, which are much more detailed independent inspections done of the bridge previously. So all of those reports have been consistent in their assessment of the bridge, just being that it is at end of life. It is our last timber bridge in the Shire, and there is obviously a sense of urgency from council's perspective about trying to advocate and get funding for the bridge to replace it, but it is absolutely safe. So we'll take that on board and look to do some further promotion or information out to the community on it. At the moment, we do have the tonnage reduction. It's impacting larger vehicles, so your semis and heavier vehicles, but it still is able to take more medium-sized rigs on it. So garbage collection buses and the like are still able to go across it. What we hear is the challenge is doing 20 kilometres. It's pretty hard to do 20 kilometres on the bridge. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that. We've got the signage, so we're continuing to update that signage just to try and alert people to the fact that there's a speed reduction there. So we are internally, officers are actually working on a further report to council, and we're reporting to council every 2 months now. We're really trying to keep a targeted focus on the plans for the bridge reconstruction. And when we bring the next report to council, which will be on the 6th of August, we'll actually present some options around a financial advocacy and financing plan, looking at how we can go forward. We, as council would be aware, we did have a funding application in to the federal government, to the bridge program. We were unsuccessful in that. It's a significant cost to council, so the bridge works are estimated to be up around the $7 million figure, and we believe there's a new funding scheme that's replaced that one. We'll be submitting to that as well, but we're still waiting on our feedback session from the federal government on our application and where it fell down or where it fell short. So we're it's something we're actively working on, but take on board the comments and concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Farrell. Councillor Purcell again.
Yeah, it's just if I could thank Ms Farrell for that comprehensive update. Just ask the question: is there a recent condition report that you know, the community could see in regard to the condition of the bridge?
The last through the mayor, thank you, Councillor Purcell. The last condition report that was done, I think, was in 2012 or 2017. I'd have to go back and check on that. But we've done 3 of those condition reports over the last 20-year period, periodically. They come at some expense, so that's not something that we undertake every year, and certainly we have our own engineers assess it every year. So we could provide those reports if community wanted to see those as well.
Right, thank you. Yes, any further? Yes, Councillor Mead.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a question for Ms McNamara. Page 333. Obviously that is a report that shows the progress of the planning department and the team's decision within statutory timeframe, which I believe our target is above 80%. And this month we've come back at 57, but it's more so the question I want to ask: is there any, perhaps, would there be opportunity for you and your team, Ms McNamara, to provide a report to council about things that councillors can do to help your team I guess move those timeframes, you know, be efficient with moving applications through? I mean, I know we have the Moyne planning scheme up for review at the moment, and a lot of those things in there are state authorities, but what levers can we pull to help your planning team streamline the planning process?
Through Mayor, thank you, Councillor Mead. We can definitely think about bringing in a report to perhaps audit or look at what those opportunities might be. It is a difficult space in relation to the state provisions and the regulations that we operate within. The timeframes for planning applications has been the same since 1987. And since that time, complexities have changed in relation to what has to be assessed and third-party rights and all that sort of thing. So we'll definitely be focusing on that over the next couple of months. But we would really like council to be part of that discussion going forward. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Ms McNamara. I look forward to seeing that, hopefully within this term of council, ways that we can help the planning team. But some of those ways could also be advocating to the state planning minister on trying to reduce some of that red and green tape, whatever it is, to get some of those planning applications through in a more speedier fashion.
Thank you, Councillor Mead. We agree, and we do use most opportunities to advocate on that behalf. It's meaningful coming from the councillors. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Any further questions or discussion on the CEO's activity? Yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. To Mr. Small or to the CEO, in relation to the MacArthur Wind Farm, been notified by a few residents that it's barely operating. I've forwarded Mr. Small a copy of a newspaper ad. Can either one of those gentlemen tell me what's the minimum requirement before we start losing rate money?
Mr. Everstein.
Yeah, thanks, through you, Mayor. Thanks, councillor Dukas, for the question. We understand that any changes to the rates kick in when the wind farms reduce down to 20% of their capacity. So at that point, if they're only operating somewhere between 10 to 20% of their total capacity, there's a reduction by 25%. If the capacity falls under 10%, which is obviously very low, then the reduction reduces by 50%. So nothing is triggered until those wind farms are down to 20% of their capacity.
All right, thank you.
Right.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
more
sorry.
question in relation to Mortlake South. It's been commissioned. There's meant to be post-noise testing done within 2 months. Can Mr. Small or the CEO, they can take this on notice, let me know, or have a meeting. I would like to have a meeting with both of them and one of our strategic plan on where we are with the Mortlake South. There's issues with noise and noise reports that should be done, and I don't believe they have, but we haven't seen them. There's an issue with whole point zero, etc. So I'd just like to be briefed sometime in the future on exactly where we are with Mortlake South.
Right, thank
It's
you.
okay by them.
Councillor Duke, I'm sure they'll take that on notice.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, any further questions or discussion on the CEO's report?
Comment if I may.
Yes, councillor Gleeson.
Just to enforce councillor Lockett's comments and welcome the new CEO, but most of the report was compiled by our acting CEO, so thanks Director McNamara for going into that role, and thank you for ensuring that we got through unscathed, so well done.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing further?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just noticed that the Illawarra Hall Winter Indoor Market on the 17th of August. So just a shout out to them, having an indoor market. I know what Illawarra's like, so it'll be a good day. I can assure you, who knows what'll be there. So don't forget that, people in the Moyne Shire.
Thank you.
Otherwise, Graham will come after you.
Thank you, councillor Duke, for bringing that to our attention.
The cakes are good.
Any further discussion? There being no further business, I close this meeting at 3:32. Thank you.